Het-Heru, Assalamu Alaikum, Namaste, Haru Nefer. This is Kasank Ma Kaparu with another video for you. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the 2 secrets to manifesting anything. And this is important because these 2 secrets I feel a lot of people are missing, and this is why they're not having the results they hope for. So I want to cover that in this broadcast so that you can start on your way to living a more harmonious and productive life. Before I do that, and before I go into anything, I want you to hit the like button on this video. And if this is your first time watching, please subscribe to my channel for more exciting videos. And don't forget, you can become a Patreon supporter. And you can do so for as little as $1 or $5 a month. And you'll get exclusive videos on magical operations, how to basically elevate yourself as a magi. And a magi we call a magician, you know. So definitely take a look at that. The link for the Patreon is in the description box, as well as links for my ebooks. They're free. You can download them and they're very good. We have the rape report, we have the Osiris report, and the one on slavery, the true cause of slavery, because a lot of people get that incorrect. They talk about, well, it was economic, it was political, it was this, it was that, you know, it was for resources. So I kind of break that down from a occult perspective, and don't forget, the word occult is not an evil connotation. It simply means the hidden. It's like amen, that which is hidden, you know. You hear sometimes, I watch all communities. Like I watch the white supremacist community, I watch the black nationalist community, and in the black nationalist community they have this thing called, what do they say, well, you know, they impart a quality on God, and I say, well, God is really amen, God is hidden, God is no thing, you know. Hence, you can't impart a quality onto God. So that's incorrect to say that God is this or God is that. God is all things, yet no one thing. Isn't that deep? All right. So let's talk a little bit about this and get into this. And as you guys know, we are heading into winter, which is always very interesting for me. So it gets darker sooner. But this is a great time too, because this is close to Halloween, to work on your magic. All Hallows Eve, right? So you have there are spirits that are abound that you can work with to help manifest your goals and your destiny. So let's talk about this. All right. We need to think about it in this way. Whether we want to or not, we are always creating a reality. All right, you're always. The mere fact that you can see the 4th dimensional realm around you, which you call material things or solid things, the mere fact that you can see that is an indication that you are manifesting things. And I always equate that to saying that you are a reality generator. You're generating your reality. Now, it is just that. It's your reality. And one of the things that I was talking with somebody about the other day, and they were asking me, well, if I see 1111, what does that mean? Or if I see this, what does it mean? Is it a synchronicity? Is it what? And I said, well, you have to understand it's your reality. So if you think it's synchronicity, then you will it to be synchronicity. Okay? I can't tell you what or how to define something in your reality, because ultimately you are God man, God woman in that reality, and you're creating it, and it has meaning to you, specifically to you. Just like people try to do dream interpretations. Well, there you can't put into a book one dictionary of all the interpretations of symbols, because those symbols really correspond, and they're very meaningful to you personally, and those meanings can't be transferred over to other individuals because they mean something different. I mean, I don't like certain animals. So if I see an animal in my dream, it could be something that I don't like, reflecting. But that other person may like that animal. So if they see an animal, it could be an auspicious thing that, you know, something's happening, you know? So you have to be very aware of that what's going on your reality is pertinent to you, understand? Not to anyone else, but to you. So for example, let me give you this example. If you're watching television and you're seeing President Trump give a speech. In reality, he's speaking to you, okay, specifically to you. And if you are a very astute magi, you will hear certain keywords and phrases that have been a constant theme in your life. That's how it works. It's not something that has a general application for all, because the individuals in your reality are nothing more than avatars that you created to interact with, to learn from that experience. All right? It's not that there's a bunch of people on this planet called Earth who are all individuals having all separate experiences and they don't tie back to you. No, there's all of these people, whatever it is, 7 billion, and I don't know how they count that, but whatever. It's probably through satellite technology. 7 billion people on the planet are nothing more than 7 billion avatars you created to learn from each and every one of those persons if you interact with them. That's what it's about. This is why when you start doing your magic, you will realize that friends and family members will say certain things that seem, wow, I was just thinking about that. What a coincidence. No, there's no coincidence. There's synchronicity. It's only synchronizing according to your thoughts. And your thoughts are manifesting. They're continually manifesting before you. Does that make sense? So stop thinking that everything that you see doesn't have an application to you. Now, you can create that. You can say to yourself, well, all the things that are going on have no bearing on me. And as God man, God woman, you will it to be, and therefore it will have no bearing upon you. If your belief system is strong enough to will that, it will happen. Because it's all you. You know what I mean? And I was saying, it was very interesting because I was watching this program on archaeology, and these archaeologists were digging and trying to find the earliest remnants of humanity. And then they started to find all these interesting things like stone star charts and bones and things of that nature. So they started to come up with these hypotheses, and they were saying, well, man, humankind is older than what we thought, or humankind was using more advanced tools than what we thought, or we found evidence of a battery like 1 million years ago where there shouldn't have been a battery millions of years ago. How is that possible? That means that ancient civilization may not have been so ancient and may have started sooner than we believe. Well, you have to understand this, and quantum mechanics has already told us this. On the quantum level, that reality responds to the observer, okay? So when these guys, these archaeologists, dig and they're trying to find the earliest remnants of humanity, they will find what they expect to find. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because you cannot remove the observer from the equation. So the more they dig, the more they'll find things that correspond to their hidden belief systems. Notice I said that, hidden belief system. They can't get away from that. So there's actually no discovery. It's only manifesting. You dig more, you as a God man or a God woman or a reality generating machine will just manifest something to find. You will manifest something for your person to find. Okay? And the more you dig, the more you'll find. You know what I mean? So the only way to stop that is to remove the observer from the equation, and we haven't found out how to do that yet because consciousness is omnipresent. It's everywhere. Okay? So good luck in trying to do that. So Alchemist J, Het-Heru, Latoya, how you doing? Het-Heru. So you have a question of where should one begin when it comes to teaching the knowledge of self. I would begin with the Het-Heru, the tree of life, the Kemetic tree of life, because that's the best representation of self and the elevation of the spirit to that level of being a Shechem or a Ba or a Ku. Okay, I think the ancient Kemetic people were very advanced in the way they looked at the spirit. They even studied the spirit as it transcended through death and alternate worlds and universes. So let's go back to what I was saying before, that you're always manifesting. You can't stop doing that, unfortunately. And you will always manifest. You always will, and you're so damn powerful that you manifested yourself. You said you called yourself into being, all right? That's how powerful you are. So you have to be aware of that, you know? Now the trick is, how do we control that? Okay? How do we control that so that we can manifest the things that we want in life instead of continually manifesting the things that we don't want? Because whether you realize it or not, you do manifest bad things in your life. You manifest things that you don't want to manifest on a conscious level, but you do. And we need to talk about that because people are so powerful that they don't realize that they're manifesting these obstructions in their life, and it's what they call as the bad luck. All right? So let's look at this deity who I want to dedicate this broadcast today to, which is Ptah. Now, Ptah is known as, he's very famous, you know, in certain arenas, the Masons. He is known as the creator god who is known for creation itself, you know. And one of the things, I can just read this to you, it says, the origin of the world is a highly condensed state of matter represented as noon. The condensed energy in the highly dense matter is symbolized by Ptah, representing the coagulating fire, bound in the matter by set principle of contraction. Nature cannot exist without such dual opposing forces. Such was symbolized eloquently by Egypt's Ptah, the divine shaping forces. He is depicted as imprisoned, bound in clothes which only head and hands free. Okay, head and hands free. That's interesting. All right. That's basically the hieroglyphic for him. Ptah represents the manifestation of the cosmic words of Ra, as spoken by Tehuti, in accordance with the laws of balance and equilibrium. Ma'at, therefore, Ptah is enthroned or stands upon a pedestal, which is the form of the glyph for Ma'at. Okay, and here is Ptah. One second. Oh, sorry. Here is Ptah and his mate Sekhmet. Sekhmet is a lion-headed goddess. She's the protective goddess. She's lioness, very fierce. Okay, so the reason why I say I'm dedicating this broadcast to Ptah is because of Ptah's power of creating things. He creates everything, and it's even said in one story that he called himself into being. Okay, that's how powerful Ptah was. Suan, peace, Het-Heru. So when you think about Ptah, you need to think about you, because that is essentially what you are. And in the tree of life, the Port Het-Heru, Ptah is corresponds to Sekert. Sekert is the mistress, or she is the elder who commands the 72 words of power, which are which we call the 72 words of manifestation. How you manifest things in this universe or in this realm. And let me just take a step back and say this, because we in the New Age community, the occult community, we're very keen on saying things like universe. We're very keen on saying things like source, which is God. But we've got to, which I think that's good, but we just got to keep in mind that the universe is not the end and be all of existence. There are different dimensions, different realms. In fact, the great inventor Nikola Tesla said, we don't live on a planet. We live in a realm. And I'll take that even further. We live in one realm among many realms. Okay? So it's very hard to define or quantify one aspect of our existence. Because when you dream, your spirit, or your soul, if you want to call it, travels to different realms. You're astral projecting to different realms. Though they may seem strange to you, but those realms in some way, shape, or form exist. Because non-existence cannot exist within existence. You understand what I'm saying? So everything that you think of and you dream of exists in some shape or form. Because there's no room in existence for non-existence. Okay? So those different realms already exist. And this is why we have to be very careful. Even when they did the interpretations of the hieroglyphic and say Ptah is the creator, you really cannot create, because all that there is all that there is. You cannot add to it, and you cannot take it away. Take away from it. What you're doing is you're manifesting it into the visible realm so you can see it and interact with it. Okay? So we have to be very careful in some sense in wording and how we look at things, because as an NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, tells us that you're programming yourself every time you use words. You're programming the subconscious mind, and that's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. So I'm not going to put any sound to this because I don't want YouTube to hit me with a strike. But let's take a look at Ptah real quick, and just we can read some of the attributes of Ptah. Okay. So basically what was there is talking about Nefertiti as the sun, and there's a Holy Trinity that the Kemetic people saw between Ptah, Sekhmet, and Nefertim. Just as the same way you have Asar, Set, and Horus, the Holy Trinity. So when you see this Mary, Jesus, and when you see this, the Holy Trinity in the Christian religion, that's really just taken from the ancient Egyptian Kemetic scriptures. So it's just basically, they plagiarized from that, okay? So you guys get that straight. And actually, the Holy Trinity is a very secret alchemical formula for manifesting. So anyway, let me just say hi to the Magi. Lord King Het-Heru, greetings. Chico Sweezy, Het-Heru. Thank you for joining us today. We are talking today about the 2 secrets to manifestation that everyone tends to forget and miss. And I'm talking about those who pretend to be gurus in the New Age community who don't know how to teach correctly, because you'll get them teaching and cursing, and that's some of these people I know, and I'm just like, how can you claim to be a priest or a teacher of Kemetic spirituality, and you're cursing and you're smoking weed and you're doing all this stuff that is very unspiritual, Goddess of Earth, Het-Heru, blessings to you. So we just keep in mind that if you're going to follow individuals, and there's nothing wrong with listening to me, listening to other people, because you could take and pick what you want. It's your reality. But just keep in mind that individuals who are caught up in the hip-hop rap game, who are cursing, who are doing drugs or smoking weed and professing that, that so-and-so is God and all that, you've got to be careful. You got to be careful of those individuals. They may have some knowledge, but their lives, a lot of times when you pull back the curtain, is falling apart. And this is because they don't live what they're preaching. You know what I mean? I live this life on a daily basis. I am a crazy, fanatical nut when it comes to Kemetic spirituality. And when I mean I practice this, I meditate 5 hours, in the day. Just sit there and meditate for 5 hours. I recite my affirmations. I do my rituals, So not only am I continually studying this, and I also travel to other realms. And I almost got trapped in one realm, and I can tell you that experience was not good. It was interesting. But you have to find out if these individuals are on the right path by living this stuff, And there was one point that I got so deep into this studying this, studying hypnotism and all this, that I thought at one point that I really messed up my mind. You know what I mean? Seriously, I thought I messed up my mind because I was so dedicated and trying so hard to reach those alternate levels of consciousness and realms that you can seriously do damage to your mind if you're not careful about what you're doing. So I had to pull back, and I had to go to the hospital and just get medication to get me back into this fourth dimensional realm, because I was literally afraid I was going to go nuts if I didn't pull back. But that's just an indication of how dedicated I was. So these other individuals, you've got to look at their level of dedication and see if they're willing to walk the talk, okay? And one of the things that I am dedicated to doing is not so much get into the Kemetic scriptures, understanding the role of the deities in my life, which that's good. But my thing is to master surfing, master the law of attraction, master reality generating. I'm just using different nomenclatures. But I want to be able to control the reality that I see before me. Now, I know I already can do that, but it depends on how powerful of a magi you are. Some magi's are so powerful that they 60% of the reality they see before them they can control. Other magi's can only control 35%, you know. So my goal is to be eventually at least 90% in this lifetime. 90% be able to control the... Now, is that possible? We don't know. We shall find out. But we know that we 100% create the reality. We know that. It's just a matter of you being mindful or waking. Hence the book, the Het-Heru, the book by coming forth by day and by night, awakening to the fact that you have this control and you can control it. Tia Hetepu, how are you? So that's the goal, is like to learn how to manipulate and create, or I should say manifest reality by shifting to parallel worlds. That's what you're doing, because the things that you want already exist, but they exist in alternate realms. Your deal is to vibrate to that frequency to where you can actively interact with it, and it becomes yours. And the first thing to do that is you have to claim it to be yours. You have to say, and they say this in transurfing, that what you want is already existing in the alternative space or some alternate universe, and you just have to declare that that is the thing that you want, and you vibrate to align with it. And it's all about how you look at it in your belief system. You know, and that is the biggest obstacle that we have to manifesting new realities, which is Sebek, because Sebek or Anubis is belief. It's, you know, are you tainting yourself by adapting negative and wrong beliefs? What is an example of a negative and wrong belief? Well, I'm just human, and the Bible says humans are sinful. That's a negative and wrong belief. Well, I need Jesus, or I need Yahweh, or I need Buddha to come and save me. That's a negative, wrong belief, because you are God. Remember, you called yourself into being. So you have the power. And as I said before in the previous broadcast, you have to be spiritually evolved, meaning that you have to accept accountability. So if something goes wrong in your life, I don't say, I'm a victim of circumstances. No, I say, you know what? I take a step back. I say, what did I believe that caused me to manifest this reality? You understand? If something, like for example, I'll give you an example, right? My brother and I were physically and verbally abused as children, right? That happened. So I could dwell on that and say, why did we were innocent kids, did that have to happen to us? But the reality is, my brother and I made a pre-life agreement to come into this line, this family line. So whether we consciously realize it or not, our higher consciousness, our higher souls made the agreement with Ptah, Hermes, to come through that family line. And we were fully aware of the fact that what would happen to us, because we wanted to learn from that experience. So the conscious aspect of who I am right now, you could say the Ba aspect, would say, I would never make such an agreement to go through pain and suffering. Why? You know, But the higher consciousness is not looking at the physical pain and suffering, because the higher consciousness knows that you have a built-in safety mechanism called Amen, and you can return back to that state of Amen anytime you're experiencing physical external pain. It's built in within you to return to that and heal. So the higher consciousness knows that, so the higher consciousness will be like, bring it on. I'm going to be hit by a car and die. Bring it on. Wait, am I going to learn from that experience? Yes? Okay, bring it on. I am going to be the victim of a murder, but I will learn from that experience and grow. Bring it on. But you will be like, hell no, that's traumatic. A woman gets raped. And of course, the Ba aspect, the personality soul would say no, but the higher consciousness is, oh yeah, I'll learn from that experience and grow, and that knowledge will be transferred into the collective consciousness so that other women can learn and grow from that experience and heal themselves from that traumatic experience. Okay? So that's the whole thing. Now, let's look at the fact that I know it's difficult to have negative things happen in your life and ultimately have to ask the question, why did you manifest it? I know that's a very difficult thing, because you could say, I didn't ask for that. I don't know where that came from. And a big thing of mine for a long time was being blindsided by things. That's really why I had to get deep into learning how to control reality, because a lot of things in my life kept blindsiding me, and it was causing my person pain and suffering. But the self, difference between person and self, is beyond pain and suffering. So I had to learn and understand that the things that you manifest are on autopilot. They manifest without you being aware of it. It just happens. And I think that if we become more in tune to who we are as God men and God women, we'll be able to see the omens, the signs, and the symbols of the things that we manifest prior to them hitting us. Because reality is energetic, meaning it responds to you. It interacts with you. So what I mean by that is, I say, you could say to life, just go out and yell it out into the clear air, you know, when will I get a raise? No, or if will I ever get a raise, right? And the mere fact that you have stated that and asked that question, the energetic realm will respond to you in symbols. I had a friend call me the other day, and he said that he turned on TV and he watched the news broadcast, and not only was it talking to him, but it actually called him by his name. I said, well, why are you surprised at that? I said, because you're living in a manufactured reality that you created, and of course it's going to call you by name because you asked the question, and it's just responding. And I said, be happy, because that means that you have a really strong control over your reality. That means you can be a very powerful magi. All right, so I want you to think about that, you know, and the questions that we have, we can go to an oracle, or we can ask the quote-unquote universe for an answer and get a response. This is what our government, this is what the ruling elite don't want you to know, that, you know, this is the joke of it all, right? Let me key you guys in on this. People were saying, well, we know we live in a matrix, but why would Hollywood make a film about the matrix and tell everybody about the secret? I said, because they know people aren't going to get it. They know people aren't going to get it. You see, the minute you're told that you're in the matrix, they put out information for you to fear the matrix. I said, you don't have to fear the matrix. You just have to learn to control the matrix. The goal is to be Neo. That's all. The goal is to be Neo, but the movie makes it seem like there's only one person in the world can be Neo. No, everyone is Neo. And you have to awaken to that fact. Do you understand what I'm saying? So they try to frighten you about the matrix. Oh, the matrix has you. Oh, the matrix controls you. Everything is part of the matrix. Yeah, but if you're living in a realm, as Nikola Tesla says, that you can control and manifest anything you want, is that heaven or hell? Is it the glass half empty or the glass half full? In my view, that can be heaven. If I know I can manifest a beautiful mate, that will do everything I want. No, never mind. But I digress. If I can manifest a beautiful mate, is that heaven or hell? If I can manifest money, is that heaven or hell? It's only hell if I'm not aware of it and I'm allowing it to take control of me. That's hell. And maybe that's the true definition of heaven and hell, because it's what you make of it in this existence. You're not going to be able to get out of the matrix. No, sir. No, won't happen. You can't. No. It's not going to happen. Tell me, can you get out the matrix? No, right? Nope, 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 impossibility. Okay, see, he even agrees, all right? You cannot get out the matrix. And if you did get out the matrix, you would die, because you would die from shock, because you are not used to what you will encounter outside of the matrix. This is why the Buddhist monks practice detachment from all. Because when you become attached to things, the shock of having all of that removed, the reality that you think you exist in removed, would just send your body into a state of canatotic shock. All right? And that's why, again, the Buddhists practice removing themselves from attachments to everything so they can prepare themselves for ascension to the next realm, so they won't go through that shocking period, you know? You follow me? Okay, I'm just going a little bit deeper so you understand. So, and the other thing is, you prepare yourself for death and the afterlife, like the ancient Kemetic people, by learning to manipulate this reality. Because when you do what we call is the fifth dimensional ascension, in the fifth dimensional ascension, there is no time-space continuum. So everything is one. So when you think of something, it immediately manifests. Because here, when we practice reality generating or manifestation, it takes time. That's because we live in time-space continuum, 3 dimensions of space and 1 dimension of time. So there is a lag between when you conceive of it in the mind and between the time that it actually manifests into what you call the physical realm. But in 5th dimension, it automatically manifests. So can I take you further into this? Okay, further down the rabbit hole. You guys ready to go further down the rabbit hole? Jabba, this is Jabba. Are you ready, Jabba? Jabba says, yes. Okay. When you pass on, when you die, Heru, or Horus, where Horus, H-O-R-U-S, where we get the term hour, your will, Heru, is disabled. It's deactivated. Why? Okay. When you die, and your Ba and your Ka transcend to the afterlife, there is this period of where you will be in like 5th dimensional ascension. What happens? Everything you think of will manifest. You have no will. You will just automatically manifest it. So what does that mean? What does that mean, Kazak? Well, in my case, it could be really bad because I will be manifesting all these beautiful harem of women. Oh, anyway, sorry, I digress. But you will manifest everything that you think about, including the bad things. If you have a fear of the boogeyman, it's going to manifest in the afterlife. It's going to manifest, and it may attack you. If you went through a very traumatic experience as a child where you were beaten and abused, and you have not transcended that, when you pass on into the afterlife, those individuals will manifest and beat you again. When you were murdered in that life, and you weren't murdered, and you didn't go to that state of peace and amen, when you go to the afterlife, your murderer will manifest, because you'll think about that, and he'll come and murder you again and again. If you were in politics, and your worst nightmare came true where you were impeached, when you die, you will be faced with the other political party and they will impeach you again. Why? Because your will is disabled. You will manifest instantaneously all things you think of. You understand? All right, so yes, that's Takia. Thank you for the super chat donation, much appreciated. And yes, it's like a playback. It's like rewind and playback. Because your will, it's like your dream state. You can't control the dream state unless you're doing lucid dreaming. But your will is disabled in your dream state, so you're going to have crazy dreams about you talking to giraffes. You know, you're playing hockey and the hockey puck is probably a little baby bear, and you don't question it. You're like, why is the hockey puck a baby bear or a panda bear? You don't question it. You just go along with it, right? Well, when you are studying Kemetic philosophy and the Kemetic religion, you work with Heru, your will, so that you will not, your will is powerful enough and you have not attached yourself to any definition and labels of things that when you die, when you manifest things, these things won't bother you because you have not assigned a quality of them. Tuti says, nothing has a quality in and of itself. So you will not define anything as bad or define anything as good. Oh, look, there's that person that murdered me. Okay, whatever. Doesn't bother me. You know, oh, well, look, there's that woman who dumped me and I cried for days. Actually, that would never happen to me. But there's that woman who dumped me and I cried for days. Oh, well, doesn't bother me anymore. That's what fifth dimension ascension gets to be. That you manifest things, and whatever you manifest will not bother you. So only the things, so you, in the sense, you're manifesting really good things, you know. This is why you train in this lifetime to learn to use your power so that when you pass on, that power won't betray you or you won't be a victim of it. You know what I mean? So let's get into the 2 secrets that will allow you to manifest anything. But before I do that, let's take a commercial break. If you guys get an opportunity, please support the channel. We have the super chat. You can donate through the super chat. And I am writing the latest ebook, which is titled Het-Heru Nu. And this is the book that will have the ins and outs of reality generating manifestation. I'm going to put everything into this one ebook that will allow you to take this book and live a very productive and fruitful life. And this book is going to contain secrets that no one else is teaching, because this is coming from my true life experience. See, I got my ass kicked through life so that you don't have to get your ass kicked. So I've gone through all the trials and tribulations, and I'm imparting that wisdom and knowledge to you so that you can stop this once and for all. So look, let me just tell you this, right? We're living in a screwed up reality, but it's okay because you can change it. And what I want to do is I want to put the power back into our hands, because there's so much misinformation. We don't know how to deal with these problems of racism, sexism, poverty, depopulation, secret government experiments to infect the world with diseases. We don't know how to do that, deal with that, and combat that. The only way we know is through protests, and those things don't work because the government just ignores you. So we got to turn to spiritual power, the power of our ancestors. They've left this information for us to pick up and use. And it works. And it works. You've noticed I may criticize trans-surfing, the law of attraction, the secret, but I never said what the foundation of the teaching is wrong. I've never said that. I've criticized the secret because it focused solely on money. It was a cash grab. But I never said the secret didn't work. You see? I never said trans-surfing didn't work. In fact, it does work. But what I've said to you is that those things are missing certain elements. Of course they're going to be missing certain elements because many of the teachers and the gurus want to sell you on future books. So they don't put everything in the one book. They give you a little bit, and then 2 years later they'll publish more, and then 2 years later they'll publish more. And I totally understand that in a sense, because number one, it keeps them with money coming into them, because they deserve to get paid, because we're making rich rap stars and pastor ministers, but the people on this planet who have the real knowledge are living in poverty. So I understand them wanting to get paid for their knowledge and what they went through. And the other thing is, you know, I found this very telling that when I try to get this information out there, it goes over people's heads. They feel it's very complicated. And I'm like, this is actually very simple. I don't know why, maybe it's just the millennials that this information seems to be above their heads, you know? But it's actually very simple. When I say you can manifest things by visualizing and having a strong emotional intent behind it, that's not complicated. Right, Takia? It's not complicated, right? So I don't know, you know, I think maybe they want the microwave quick and easy type of thing, you know? So let's go on to this, all right? Let me get down to the nuts and bolts, okay? And if I'm making this complicated, please let me know, and I'll try to change my teaching, all right? So before I go into the two secrets of manifesting. Sorry, I'm gonna take a little bite of this. This is a special brownie. Okay. Good. Okay. So if I start to act crazy, I don't know why. Okay. So let me first start by going over the rules of manifestation. Then I will get into the two secret rules, the two secret things that not many people understand about manifestation. Okay. Just look at that. I'm already like messing up my words. All right. Rules for manifestation. Okay. The first rule is you have to visualize what you want. I'm sorry, Kassan, can you say that again? It sounded really complicated. Visualize what you want. I'm sorry, Kassan, I'm just not getting this. It's just not making sense. All right. Sexy Halle Berry. Kassak want Halle Berry. Kassak thinks about Halle Berry and visualize all kinds of stuff. You got it now? Oh, I get it. Okay. Thank you. Next one. Have strong feelings, emotions behind visualization. I'm sorry, Kassan, can you say it again? Have strong feelings, emotions behind visualization. Kassan, can you give me an example of what that is? It seems really tough to do. Go back to Halle Berry. Kassan want Halle Berry. Kassan got a picture of Halle Berry. Kassan gets an erection when he sees picture of Halle Berry. That's strong emotional intent. We're all adults here, okay? Because I'm not going to mince words. We're all adults, okay? Girl wants Brad Pitt. Girl puts picture of Brad Pitt up. Girl gets wet when she sees it. See? Strong emotional reaction. And that's actually sexual reaction is actually good because that's the Kundalini energy coming up. And the Kundalini energy is necessary for manifestation. Okay, let's go on. Visualize it in the present. You must visualize it as if you have it already, that it's happening now. You have it. You have it. You have to say, I already have this thing, and encompass that feeling of having it. So if you want $1 million, and I'm going to tell you something. Stop emailing me and talking about you need to manifest. Oh, Kassak, I need to manifest 100,000, but I only need 10%. I only need 10% of that to put a down payment on the house. There is nothing wrong with you wanting to manifest $1 million. There is nothing wrong with that. Can I say that again? Nothing wrong with that. In fact, do it. Because you are powerful enough to have $1 million. And if you can't fathom that that's a problem with you. That is an obstacle, an obstruction that you have. But you should be into the mindset of $1 million, no problem, I can manifest that. Can I have till Tuesday? That's how you have to think. But the first thing is, what will $1 million do? It's a feeling of freedom. I can tell my boss off. I can be my own person. I can go anywhere I want. I can take a trip around the world. Feel that now. Feel it. Feel that feeling of freedom. Feel that feeling of walking into a department store and being able to afford anything. Feel what it's like not to have car payments or a house payment. Embody that feeling in the present moment. You feel me? And you wonder why our so-called community, the African American community, uses words like, you feel me. Not, did you hear what I was saying? No, you feel me. All right? Next one. All right, let's go. We're moving on. We're rocking and rolling. Don't place too much importance on it. Give it time to manifest. The one thing that really messes us up is that we put excess energy or potential onto something. So let's go back. Let's say woman wants Brad Pitt. And she writes song about how she's nothing without Brad Pitt. She thinks about Brad Pitt. Says, if I don't have Brad Pitt, I'll just die. I won't be able to live a happy life. Well, when you put too much excess importance on something, you then make it. You didn't have the reverse effect where you make it seem unattainable, and therefore you can't manifest it because you've already convinced yourself that it's too important and you can never manifest it. Just like I said, the $1 million example. Kasson, can I just start with $5,000? Can I start manifesting that? No, start with manifesting $1 million. No. And just don't place too much importance on the $1 million. Like a life or death situation. Most times when we can't manifest something, it's because we place too much importance on it. We say, I'll never be happy unless I have attained that. There you go. You've sabotaged yourself. Okay? Many times in my life, this is before I became a priest, when I was trying to manifest something, it didn't work. When I stopped caring about it, it came to fruition. And I was like, what the hell? I mean, I really couldn't figure it out. Every time I stopped caring about it or I said, oh, it's not working, it suddenly worked. And I wasn't giving the process enough time. I wasn't giving enough time, and I was placing too much importance over it. And it's a very tricky thing. It's kind of like being in the world but not of it. You know. So you have to be careful. Ready to go on? No, excuse me, Kasson. I don't understand this concept of placing importance on it. This is really complicated. Can you simplify that? Yeah, I can simplify that. Have the attitude of whether you get it or you don't care. It doesn't matter. Because what you really want is the emotion and feeling behind having it. And you're already embodying that emotion and feeling. I have only recently learned to go into the alternate realm and then have intercourse or sex with beings in that realm. And it feels real, you know? So that tells you have the ability to manifest any emotion that you want, you know? And there are whole courses and teachings on sex magic. Because that's and this is why we did orgies in ancient times, because it wasn't just for physical pleasure. The orgies were a way to awaken the energy to achieve an objective for the nation state. Okay? And that's why it was done. And these were sanctioned by the priests. These were sanctioned by the kings or the pharaohs, that these orgies would happen because it was necessary to raise the energy. Because Het-Heru, the goddess of sex, joy, love, you use that power within you, that sexual energy within you, and channel that to a spiritual objective. Can I say that again? You channel that to a spiritual objective. But we're living in such a wicked society that they pervert the idea of sex. They pervert the idea of an erection, because if you look at the Washington Monument, the obelisk, that really is an erect penis. And that was an indication telling you that you need that Kundalini energy, that sexual energy, to manifest things in your life. Okay, let's go on. The next thing is you have to go dark. Wait, hold up, Kasank. I don't want to be black. No, that's not what I mean. Oh, are you talking about that movie Dark Man by Sam Raimi? No, oh God, no, that's not what I mean. Last year I gave courses on going dark. What is going dark? Going dark is not going black. But you know what they say, once you go black, you never go back. Okay? Anyway, if you are a swirler. Anyway, going dark means that whatever negative that could happen, that you think may happen, you don't think about it. You go dark on that. That's not a possibility in your world. That's not even to be considered that the negative thing will happen. In other words, you say, I'm going to manifest $1 million. You live with the idea of, yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I don't even consider the possibility of not getting the $1 million. I go dark on that. You know, it was funny because when I used to go out and party, and I would meet a girl, and she would say, oh, Kasank, you are handsome, you are charming, you are funny, you are like the ultimate man that every woman should aspire to have. I'm like, oh, thank you. But I have a boyfriend. I'll be like, I'm sorry, I don't process that word. What does that word mean, boyfriend? I'm sorry, I go dark on that word. What does that mean? I hear that a lot, boyfriend. What does that mean? So I'm just kidding, but I'm telling you that you need to learn how to go dark on certain things. You know, like if you're going to jump from one mountain to another, and then you're ready to do this, and you put yourself into a hypnotic state, a hypnotic trance, to where you believe you can jump from one mountain to another, and then somebody comes along and says, you know, you could fall, and it's a long way down, and you're like, I never considered falling. I never even thought about the possibility of falling. It just doesn't happen. That in and of itself taps into a very, very powerful piece of magic. Because when you eliminate the idea, the seed of doubt, you don't connect to that pendulum or that ergomore, so you don't have that possibility happening into this space-time continuum. Woo! Let me say that again. When you don't consider the negative outcome, when you really don't even consider that, you don't connect to that parallel universe where there's a possibility of the negative thing happening, because you don't think about it. So there's no possibility of you connecting to it, and no possibility of you shifting to that alternate universe to where you fail. Woo! Isn't that good? That's good. I should get like a prize for that one. Let me see. I got me, I don't know. I get this. Yes, I'd like to thank the Academy for this award and all the small people who made it possible. I'd like to thank my producer and all the people I had to sleep with on the way to the top in the casting couch. Thank you. Okay, let's move on. Alrighty. The next rule, and this is interesting, it's a play on words, is believing is seeing. You guys know how they say seeing is believing? No, that's wrong. Believing is seeing. Kasank, can you explain that further? Well, you know you're living in a hypnotic state, right? It's hypnosis. It's a reality tunnel. You're in a hypnotic state. Meaning you can shift to any other state. So when you're in the hypnotic state, you're given post-hypnotic suggestions which tell you that certain things will manifest in your reality. And because you believe them, they do manifest. Hence is why believing is seeing. If you strongly believe something to the core of your being, it then becomes a reality, given enough time. All right? So let's move on. Understand what you want can come in different ways. Bingo. Too many people visualize something that they want coming at a specific way and specific time. Don't do that. Allow the universe to bring it to you in the way it sees fit. Okay? Because if you say, well, I want $1 million and I have to hit the lottery to win $1 million, well, that could take a long time for the universe to manifest the right 7 numbers or 8 numbers or whatever it is to have you win that $1 million lottery. But if you just say, I want $1 million, the universe can bring it to you in many ways, many ways. You win a lawsuit and get $1 million, you know? You're voted the most handsome and the prize is $1 million. That actually happened to me in an alternate world, but anyway. You marry a beautiful woman and she's rich and she becomes a sugar mama. Yeah. So you marry a handsome man and he becomes your sugar daddy and you get $1 million, you know? So I'm saying allow the universe to bring it to you in whichever way it sees fit. We in our world place too much money on monetizing something too much importance on money, that green sigil. We have to think that it can come in many different ways, you know, many different ways. You may say, I want the $100,000 to buy the house, but someone may die in your family and will the house to you. So you didn't need the $100,000, really, you just got what you wanted, which was the house, okay? So think about that, okay? Let's move on, okay? Now that we have the rules for manifestation locked down, we cemented that, we have to move on to the 2 most important things to consider, which really relate to why the things that we want don't come to fruition, okay? And these are important, and if you get these in check, then there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to manifest the things that you want. But let's take a commercial break again. So you guys don't forget to support us on Patreon so we can come out with our new ebook on bringing to manifestation all your desires. I'm trying to hit the January 1st, 2019 marker for the release of that ebook. We're going to be accepting pre-orders. And, funny story behind that, right? Funny story behind that. So I was thinking, well, you know, it's been a while. I promised myself I would write a book on this subject. And I wonder if I should write a book now. So I went to the I-Ching Oracle, and I asked the Oracle, which I asked Source, should I write a book on this now? Because I got a lot of things going on in my life right now. My life is crazy, man. Seriously, my life is crazy right now. I got baby mamas hunting me down. I got paternity tests coming. You know, it's just craziness, man. It's just craziness. All right. So anyway. Anyway, I'm acting silly. I'm just being silly. Or am I? All right. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So the Oracle said, yes, write the book. Write the book. And I'm always doubting if I have enough information to write the book. I've been doubting for 5 years now. So I get to my office, and I sit down, and I swear to God, I'm not joking about this. I say to myself, I wonder if the universe wants me to write this book. Okay? Even though I did the Oracle reading and I know I should write the book, I turn on my computer and the first email I get in the subject line says this: the universe wants you to write the book. I was like, whoa! Holy shit! An email saying the universe wants you to write this book. I was so shocked. And what the email was an advertisement for a self-publishing company. But it was very on time, synchronicity, wasn't that, you know? Now, if only it could work with Holly Berry. Okay. Anyway, so I'm going to try to publish that ebook by January 1st. We're going to take pre-orders. But again, if you guys can help out and contribute on Patreon, that would be great. Or Super Chat would be wonderful. So what are the 2 important rules for manifestation? What are the 2 important rules? Let's go to the board, shall we? Let's go to the board. The two important secrets to manifestation. First one, your histories or memories are manifested. Don't dwell on negative things. You have memories from past lives, from this life, of things, and really they're belief systems, because an idea with an emotion, strong emotion, is a belief system that you think about and you use as what we call reference experience. And those reference experience cause obstructions and prevent you from manifesting things. So a reference experience could be that I did a ritual once 2 years ago and nothing happened, right? So now I'm afraid to do another ritual, or don't want to do another ritual. See, that is a blockage now. And in magic, you have to understand that it's all trial and error. What one person does doesn't always work for another magician. Okay? So you have to keep that in mind. We are constantly manifesting things from our memories. If you've had bad encounters with a certain mate that looked a certain way, you'll manifest another mate that looks that way or acts that way. This is why people go in these relationship circles. They get into one bad relationship after another. The trick is to go dark on those things, to not dwell on those negative memories or those negative reference experience, because your past does not define your future. Say it again, your past does not define your future. And when you cannot dwell on those negative memories, you will not manifest negative situations anymore. Because you as a manifestation generating machine generates two things. Things that give you immense joy and things that are very fearful. Very fearful. You will manifest those things. You tend to manifest worst case scenarios. So the thing is to be the observer, the all-seeing eye of Osir. You have to observe but not be emotionally attached to it. It's like watching a movie and you're seeing, I went on a date with this one girl many, many moons ago, and we're sitting there, and it was a horror film, and the guy was about to open the door. No, the girl was about to open the door, and the killer was inside the room, and she kept yelling, "No, girl, don't open that door! Don't open that door! Oh, you so stupid! You so stupid!" That is a case of her identifying with the main character. You have to just be a cold, dispassionate observer, just observing, without emotions. So when those things come up that you feel are negative things in your life, I know it's tough, but you just have to step back. Have to step back and just observe it and not become emotionally wrapped up in all of that. Because I'll tell you why. That is the basis of a lot of troubles in our lives. That is the basis of why many of us stay in a role of oppression. I heard what's his name, Dr. Boyce Watkins. I watch him every now and then. And he kept talking about slavery this, slavery that, plantation this. I said, you have to stop talking about that in that way. In that way. There's nothing wrong with, remembering your heritage, understanding that your family was slaves. But he keeps using those words. And when you keep using those words, you manifest that reality. Now, you're not manifesting you're being a slave, but you are manifesting racial oppression. Because it's going to interpret what you say and help that pendulum or that ergomore to enslave the masses of African Americans, to oppress the masses of African Americans. Do you understand? Because words are power. But an idiot like Boyce Watkins doesn't understand that. So what he is doing is to the detriment of the people he thinks he's trying to save. And I don't think he's really trying to save anyone. I think he's out for himself, but that's another discussion. So with that firmly in place, do meditations. Try to do what you can to rectify those past experiences. What I do in terms of hypnosis is that I will place a person into trance. And if they've had a traumatic event, I will replay the traumatic event while they're in trance. but have it come out to be a positive thing. You know what I mean? So, for example, if someone were to say they hypothetical situation, say they lost $500, they just lost it, they lost their wallet and everything. I can replay that in their mind in hypnosis to where they find $500. You know what I mean? So what I've done is created a new scenario in the past, and I've also planted a seed for them to manifest more money. You see how it works? So you can literally change your history, because all you're doing is you are attaching to another history, an alternate history in the alternate parallel worlds. Because in the same sense that you believe that you have a possibility of different futures or different outcomes, which is true, there is an infinite number of future outcomes. There are also an infinite number of past things that have happened to you. But you're only connecting to one right now, which defines your energy and your frequency in the present space-time, now, that now moment. Because the only thing that really exists is a now moment, but we are erroneously labeled as the past and the future. So you can connect to a new past. One where you weren't physically abused. One where you didn't lose $500. One where you didn't break up with your mate. One where you didn't go through a terrible divorce. You can reconnect with an alternate reality that's in your past, and when you do that, you change the future and you change the present now moment. All right, and there's a whole science around that we can get into that, because it's a very powerful thing, a very dangerous thing. And maybe I should write a little bit about that in the new ebook. But what happens is, if you are a powerful enough magi or hypnotist, and you change the person's history or memory, you're going to change the present moment, because they're going to shift into a new present moment. So when they come out of trance, it'll be a totally new parallel world. So think about that. Next thing. Checkpoints throughout your day, mindfulness of circumstances. This is actually very, very important. Okay, so when you want to manifest something, or you're on autopilot and things are manifesting that you don't like, you have to read the signs and look at things. If things aren't going the way you want, you've got to stop, and it could be as little as 5 minutes, and start to visualize what you really want. Because when things aren't going according to your expectations, then that's a sign that what you did is not coming to fruition. It was not powerful enough. So let's say you did this meditation where you saw yourself and everyone around you, that you are the life of the party, people loved you, there was no animosity, there was no hatred, and then you go to work and people hate you. Well, I can get into the details of why that happens. It's called the echo effect, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. But what you have to do is you have to stop, go into some place very private, close your eyes, and visualize again the circumstances you want. This is the checkpoints, because you have to make sure that you're on target. Because sometimes, or what I call is, you have to do what we call is course correct. Because sometimes when you have the destination in mind, you could get off the path. And in the I-Ching, the Oracle of the I-Ching, there is a 24th hexagram which talks about return to the path. So you may get caught up in things. You may get caught up in a negative memory. You may get caught up in hustling, bustling, and there's so much traffic driving to work that you get into a negative thought process. So when you get to work, you feel this energy, this hatred of you. So you got off course. So just take a step back and visualize, again, the objective. And it's very powerful. And there's a quick hypnosis technique that I'll probably create a video on that, which will allow you to hypnotize yourself so that it cements in the subconscious mind. It's called the Kermit the Frog hypnosis technique. It's very funny, but it works. All right. And the reason why it's called Kermit the Frog, because when the puppeteers, I believe it was on Sesame Street, would take a break, you would see the puppet, once it would be alive. Hey, this is the Kermit the Frog. And when the puppeteers would take a break for lunch, the frog would be like this. And when you're in that state of trance, that's what you will look like. You'll be like this. So that's why it's called the Kermit the Frog technique. All right. So do the checkpoints throughout your day. Observe what's going on, but don't say, "Oh, it's going bad. My meditation didn't work." No, just say, "Hey, somehow I'm veering off path. Let me go into the lunch room or the break room and meditate real quick to get back on target." I do this all the time. When I see things going south, I'm like, hold on, let me do a meditation real quick. And I use the term reboot. You know, I was counseling somebody and he was saying I was trying to get my son in check and things didn't go right with my son. I just don't know what to do. I said, just reboot. Just reboot. That's all you got to do. Go and meditate for 5 minutes, and that's the reboot process, okay? Those are the two important things to keep in mind, and they explain why sometimes the things that you don't want manifest, you know? Let's go back over it again. First thing, your history or memories are manifested. Don't dwell on negative things. Go dark. Go dark. Checkpoints throughout your day. Mindfulness of circumstances. Be very aware of what's going on. Read the signs and the symbols. They communicate with you. They'll let you know if you're on target. You know? I remember once I was holding a rose, right? Don't know why I was having a rose. It was a red rose, and for some reason I had just bought it, and the rose, this thing fell off. The wind blew it. It fell off into the street, and a car rolled over it. Well, I knew what was going to happen, and that meant that I was in for a breakup. So you got to really learn to read those signs. And if I was smart at the time, I would have done a quick meditation, or I would have put myself into hypnotic state. But this is like years ago before I was studying to be a priest. So you have to learn to read those signs. And the trick is, when you become aware of these things are going south, don't get emotionally upset or get afraid, because that'll only help to manifest it more. You know? The trick is to step back from it, and don't be the girl in the theater going, "Ooh, girl, don't open that door. Don't do that. That man is behind the door. Don't do that. You're going to die." You know, don't get caught up in the movie. Learn to just be dispassionate. You know, step back and just be the observer and say, this is all just a movie, and I'm just here to watch, you know? Or pretend it's a bad movie, you know, and say, wow, I can't get into this movie. It's a bad movie. Let me turn the channel. And you can do that anytime you want. You can shift to a parallel reality. If you don't like the way your life is unfolding, just say, okay, this sucks. I am switching the channel. I've done that many times. Many, many times. I'm like, don't like this, don't like that. Had some people I was dealing with. I said, you know what? I don't like you guys. I'm going to get you guys out of this reality. Or I'm going to shift to a new reality where you guys aren't there. And I do that. And you can do that too. Get somebody out of your reality. And you should do that as quick as possible, because their energies will rub off on you, and it will taint your life and mess you up, and then you'll start to dwell on those individuals, and it just has this snowball effect. Okay? So, I hope this has benefited you. I hope this is something that you can use moving forward, and it helps you to put the power back into your hands, because ultimately that's what I want to do. You know, I have goals, and a lot of my goals aren't selfish goals. They're to help people, because I see, one thing I see is that, a lot of people out there are suffering and going through stuff that we don't have to. And that's because this society, through social engineering, is putting the wrong beliefs in our head. They're making you think that because one person is rich, you could be rich. Just do what they do. Build a business. Oh, well, it's not that easy to build a business. You need capital, you need legal help. But if you tune into the power, the God, man, God power, or the Ptah power within you, you could manifest whatever you want. And that's a real thing, You don't have to be trapped and think that the only way that you can have freedom in your life is through money. No, because you are Ptah. And you see there in his hand, he holds the keys to the universe, manifesting what he wants. He is the creator. So you have to look at yourself in that very, very same way. You see, spiritual practice is good to make you a better person, but it doesn't prevent the world from kicking your ass. Because there have been many righteous people throughout history who've gotten their asses kicked, who didn't win in the end because the enemy was stronger. But they died very morally upright people, very noble people. But you don't want to go out that way. One of my old teachers, Yosef ben Jochannan, who was an Egyptologist, died, I believe, in a Harlem hospital penniless. Although he read the Metu Neter, the sacred hieroglyphics, though he had mastered the field of Egyptology, he did not master the art of manifesting a new reality. So I don't want you Magi's to go broke. I don't want you to have bad relationships. I don't want you to go to jobs that you don't like. I want you to be able to manifest all your dreams. Because understand this, no matter what the president is doing, whatever the Senate, the Congress is doing, this is really still your reality. And it obeys you. I mean, there's certain parameters around it, but eventually it acts in accordance to the observer. And you, as the observer, dictate what it should do. It doesn't, just because, for example, that inflation is high, that doesn't mean that your life is full of trouble. And you can manifest abundance in your reality tunnel, in your world. Even though the deficit is high, things are going crazy on the stock market, that doesn't have to affect you. It doesn't have to affect you at all, because you can merely shift to a new reality. Although that circumstance may still exist in the government or the Wall Street, your circumstances can be one of complete abundance. In fact, when the Great Depression happened, Charlie Chaplin, one of my heroes as a filmmaker, was living very wealthy. The Depression didn't affect him. And the Depression had a very devastating effect upon all Americans. But he was able to maintain his wealth as a famous movie actor in the silent era, going into the sound era. So just because things are happening in the outside world doesn't mean that you are going to be susceptible to that. And I gave the example of, what did I say? The example, which is only an example, of going to Virginia and wanting to start in this particular area in Virginia an orange farm. And people telling me, well, you can't plant oranges in that particular dirt out there. And it would take a certain type of soot for it to, the oranges trees to grow. And I said, hey, no problem. I'll manifest the correct dirt. I'll just manifest it. They were like, what? What did you say? I said, I will manifest it. Now, does that mean that the dirt will suddenly change to the one that I need? Maybe. Or maybe, my uncle who owns a trucking company will call me up and say, hey, you know what? I have all this crazy dirt that I'm about to get rid of. I had a client who didn't pay me for this dirt, and it's really good for growing orange trees. You want it? And I'll be, whoa, how auspicious. I need that. Bring it to me. I got an orange farm that needs it. You see how we can manifest? This is why you should never have a precise way in which you think it should come to you. This is why you have to realize you're powerful. And there's no limitation, only but your belief system. And you have to learn to get rid of negative and confining belief systems. Go dark on that, okay? All right. See, you guys are talking about binaural beats. They're very good. I use those on a daily basis. So anyway, I want to thank all the Magi's for attending, especially Lord King Het-Heru, Mike Het-Heru, and Mac Haru Nefer. Thank you for all attending. And until my next broadcast, this is Kasank Ma'a Keperu, son of Ma'at and Tehuti, follower of God Ptah, Amen Ra.